So I've never made a video in a car before, but this seems to be the only place I could find that was somewhat private with very little wind contamination. So I wanted to make a video today and talk about solo female travels. I don't mean to make my videos always seem so serious, but at the same time, there's a lot of serious things that need to be discussed, and there's a lot of things that I think in my on my mind and in my heart, in my soul, that I feel like need to be brought up. And one thing that I specifically want to talk about in relation or in regards to solo female travels is fear-mongering, fear instilling. This idea that we just innately should be afraid for our lives, or worse, I guess, is something that comes up quite often. So that being said, all the time I get told, "Oh, you're brave." I've said that before. I get told all the time. And I have so many friends, female friends, that even one mentioned to me the other day that just going on the hiking trails in the foothills of her hometown or where she lives, and she's told because she's going alone that she's brave. And yeah, I get it. There's certain things that obviously everyone should be cautious of. In nature, animals can be crazy. In civilization, animals can be crazy. So I think that there's something that is always kind of brought up when it comes to women traveling alone. Even in the most advanced places, I get asked a lot of questions by people of how I travel alone, or aren't I scared? Isn't that something that I should be afraid of? Being on my own, doing things on my own. And I'll talk about the basics of just, other things later of just going out and doing things on my own, and confidence levels. That's a completely different conversations. But as far as simply talking about the fear that comes with it, I think as human beings, we never seem to ask men if they are afraid, if they are worried about traveling alone. And the thing that gets me is that things that happen in other countries, I'm just going to say it, let's just be real brutal and honest here. Rape, sexual harassment, any sort of, advances or discomfort that comes with those situations, those very unfortunate situations that, yes, they do happen. They also happen in your own hometowns. They happen in your backyard. They happen with your coworkers. They happen with your family members. Those things are not exclusive to other countries. They don't just happen when you travel. It's not something that will just pop up. And so for me, I get asked questions all the time that are very insinuating of my own personal safety. And that's something that I think is a bit bizarre. And I understand a lot of what we ask, a lot of these questions, or a lot of things that are implied out of fear, is purely based on ignorance. It's a lack of knowledge. It's a lack of understanding of those places or what those places are like. But at the same time, what we really can't claim ignorance anymore for is like not realizing that shit happens in our own homes, in our own houses, in our own neighborhoods, in our own workplaces, in our own hometowns, in our own cities, and our own countries. And we don't need to go to another country to experience any of that stuff. Ever. I have been places where I have definitely felt a little bit uneasy. I've needed to be a little bit more aware of my surroundings. But I've experienced more sexual harassment in the United States. purely maybe because of the amount of time I've spent there. But I also have spent over 10 years outside of the United States as an adult, as a woman, as a teenager, outside of the United States. I've experienced more sexual harassment inside of the United States, more lewd comments inside of the United States. I've experienced awful, disgusting conversations from my own family members that is completely unacceptable. And so I think we need to really, before we start commenting when we find out that a woman is going to be traveling alone to another country, before we start commenting on that, we need to really start looking at the situations that we are living in every day. Women are living alone every day. But the moment we travel alone, somehow it's this really big deal that we need to be cautious of our own safety. But the rest of the year, the rest of our lifetimes, no one seems to be that concerned about it. So I apologize for this mildly aggressive, but very passionate rant that I've gone on. But it's true. I think that we need to really stop and reflect on these situations where we're so worried about women the moment they decide to go somewhere else. But there's very little concern about their safety within their own homes, with abusive partners, with awful family members, with coworkers and bosses that we get sexually harassed with. Those are the things that we need to start worrying about more. Those are the things we need to start addressing. And those are the things that those solo women probably need more support with than with the travels. Believe me, we got this. We'll be fine. We've been doing it our whole damn life. But if you want to support someone and you want to show concern, ask how they're doing day to day. Because going to another country is probably the reprieve that they need. Probably the break that they need. And they're probably not really that concerned because it's much worse at home, or it can be. On that note, I'll cut my rant. I'll cut it there, my vent to my rant, all of the things. But it's definitely something that needs to be said. So I'll leave you guys with that. Leave your comments, and I will talk to you guys soon.